Good morning friends, welcome back to Parnika tutorials. In this video, I want to discuss about what is an inheritance, what are the advantages of inheritance, how can we achieve the inheritance, all these concepts I will discuss in detail for you. So I sincerely request everyone to watch the complete video for better understanding. What is the need for an inheritance? Whenever you want to inherit the properties or the features or the members of one class to another class, then we can use the inheritance. So inheritance allows one class to derive or inherit the properties or the members or the features of another class. This one we'll call it as inheritance. Now let me discuss with a simple example. Let's take that you have a class A. Inside the class A, you have the variable 1, you have the variable 2, you have the method 1 and you have the method 2. If you define another class called B, any class, extends is the keyword to use inheritance. See, now here class B is deriving or inheriting the properties or the features or the members. See, we can say properties or features or members. The members includes the variables and methods. So class B is the child class which is inheriting the properties from the parent class called A. So in this scenario, class B is called as child class, or even I can call it as a subclass, or I can call it as a derived class. A class A will be called as parent class. It can be called as superclass, or it can be called as base class. Any one of the terminology you can use. You can say child parent or parent child, super sub, and then derived and base. Now, if the class B is having the variable v3, variable v4, method m3, method m4. Okay. Now, what will be the variables and methods will be there in the class B? See, remember one thing. Class A has the variable v1, variable v2, method m1, method m2. All these features or the properties or the members will come to the child class. So class B will also have the variable v1, variable v2, member m1, member m2, and also it can have its own properties or its own members. So it can have the variable v3, variable v4, method m3, method m4. So the child class is inheriting the properties of the parent class. So this concept we'll call it as inheritance, and inheritance can be achieved with the use of keyword called extends. So you should have the class, derived class name, extends keyword, parent class name. Okay, this is the generalized syntax of having the single level inheritance. We have different types of inheritance. Those things we will discuss in the next video. So this is a single level inheritance because you have the parent class. Parent class has been derived by the child class. So child class B is inheriting the properties of the parent class A. Okay, now if you want to access the members of class A and class B, then you can create the object for the class B. Using the object, you can access the members of the class B, because class B will have the members of the class A. So you are accessing both the variables and methods of both the class A and class B using the object created for the child class. Okay, you no need to have multiple objects for parent class and child class. With the help of the child class, you can access the members of parent class and the child class also. These concepts I will discuss in detail with a simple example. I will take a class A. Okay, let me write here. I hope it will be visible for you. I will take a class A. Inside the class A, I will define the variable P and I will assign the value 100. Now you know that this variable is an instance variable. Okay, it is an instance variable. Similarly, what I will do is that I will define a method called display. Okay, I will write void display. Inside this display method, I want to print the p value. So I will write system dot out dot println the p value is I will write plus p, and I will end the method. So this is what an instance method. The display method is an instance method. Now let me close the class A. Now what I will do, I will define the class B, and I want to extend the properties of class A. So class B extends class A. Now what is the meaning? The class B is child class. A is the parent class. So what are the properties which are there in the parent class will be derived to the child class. Now what I will do, I will define a variable called q and assign the value 200. Okay, and then I am defining a method called show, and I want to print the q value. So I will write system.out.println the q value is. Okay, I will write plus and I will write q. Okay, let me close the method called show and let me close the class called b. So here q and show are the instance variables and instance methods belongs to the class b. Now class b will have the variable p, method display, and also variable q and the method called show, because class b is inheriting the members means variables and the methods of the class A also. So the thing is that now what I will do, I will write the main class. Okay, I will write the main class name as first. Is it clear? So the meaning is that the derived class or the main class, as you kept a name called first, your program name should be first with an extension called Java, because this is a Java program. And then you need to write the public static void main. Okay, now let me write public static void main, and you know that we need to take a string array, where s is capital letter, ox or ar, let me write any name you can write here. So now what can I do? I can create an object for the child class to access the members of parent class and child class also. So what I will do, I will create an object. What is the generalized syntax for creating an object? Class name. Here the class name is b. Object name, let me create it as ob1 is equal to new class name, ends with a semicolon. Now using the object, we can access the method called show and method called display. So now first let me display. Okay, so I will call the display method. Similarly, I will call the show method using the object called ob1. Let me close the main method and let me close the class called first. Now if you compile the program, there will be no errors. How to compile it? You go to the corresponding folder and then enter in the command prompt javac first.java. If there are no errors, then the class file will be generated and you can run the program java first. Then if you do the task, look at here, what is the method you are calling? Display method using the object ob1, which is for class b. Now class b is inheriting the properties of class A. Even the class A or the display method is there in the class A, you can access it with the help of an object for the child class. If there is no extents, if you are not using the inheritance concept, then it will give an error for you because there is no display method in the class B. As you are using the inheritance, it will not show any error and it will go here and it will print the p value. What is the p value? The p value is 100. So this program will give you the output as the p value is 100, and similarly it will display because you are calling the show method, so it will display the q value is 300. Now I have another question. Sir, you are saying that class B will have the variable P and variable Q and show display method and then show method. This is absolutely fine. But can I change this value P is equal to 100 to some other value in the child class? Yes, absolutely you can do it. How you can do? I can write int Q is equal to 200 comma P is equal to 300. Then here what I will do? I will display the P value. Okay. So here I will write system dot out dot println. Okay. The the P value in class B is, okay, I can write plus P. Okay, end the method called show and end the, I hope it is visible for you. Now if you end with a semicolon and if you run this program, you will get the output as you are calling the display method, you will get the P value is 100 and then Q value is 300. Q value is now 200. Okay, the Q value is 200 and then the P value in class B is 300. This is the output you will get. Okay, now what I will do is that instead of initializing the instance variables directly, I will use the constructor concept. Already we have discussed in the last video what is a constructor. Constructor is a method which will be useful for you to initialize the object. Okay, now what are the rules? The method name and the class name should be same and it does not have any return type. So as the class name is A, I can create a constructor called A. What I will do is that I will declare a variable called P and then I will initialize a parameter constructor. So I will write int A, then I will write P is equal to A. Okay, P is equal to A. And you know that whatever the A value you are initializing here, that will be stored in the variable called P. Similarly here also, what I will do is that I will erase this entire content and I will take a constructor called B. Okay, so now B is having the two variables called P and Q. So what I will do is that I will write int Q. Okay, int Q, and then you know that I can write int A comma int B, and let me write P is equal to A, Q is equal to B. Let me end this one. So now what is this? This is a parameter constructor for the class B and this is a parameter constructor for class A. Then if I do this one, because as you need to have the only one parameter constructor having the two arguments, then here you need to pass the two arguments 10 comma 20. Then what will happen, as you are creating an object for the child class called B, then this constructor will be invoked because you are passing two parameters, so it will call. But what this will do, this is a parameter constructor in the child class. This will try to invoke the what you call default constructor in the class A. Is there any default constructor? What is meant by default constructor? A constructor without any arguments. As there is no default constructor, if you execute this program, it will show an error for you. Are you able to understand? Let me discuss again the point. You are creating an object for the class B, which is a child class, and you are giving the two values. So then it will try to search for the constructor having the two parameters and they are two integers. Yes, we have a such constructor, but this is a constructor in the child class. Then this one will try to invoke the default constructor in the parent class. As there is no default constructor in the parent class, this will show an error for you. So what is the best way is that you should have one default constructor. So what I will do is that first I will have one default constructor. Default constructor will not have any parameters, and here I will write system.out.println. In shortcut, as there is a space issue, I will write s.o.p. Okay, default constructor. You can write full. Okay, let me write just default. Again, there is a space issue. You need to write system.out.println, and let me close this one, and then you can have the a one parameter constructor, and you can write p is equal to a, and before that you need to declare the p variable. Okay, int p, and then you can have the one parameter constructor. See, due to space issue all this is happening. In the desktop I will discuss in much better way. Okay, is it clear? So I have declared int p, and I have written int a, where a is the variable and capital A is the constructor, which is same as the class name, and I am writing p is equal to a. Now if I run this program, what will happen is this. Look at here, this is calling. So a is having the value called 10 and b is having the value 20. So you are writing p is equal to a. So p will get the value 10, q will get the value 20. So what will happen is that you are what doing? You are calling the display method using the object called ob1. So this will be invoked. Have you assigned any value to the variable p? No, because you did not create any object for the class A. If you does not create an object for the class A, how this constructor will be invoked? This one will not be invoked. So in this case what will happen, as you does not assign any value to the p, it will give the default value as 0. So this will give the statement as the p value is 0. Then when you are calling the show method, then this one will be invoked. System.out.println, and the q value is how much? 20. So it will give the output as the q value is 20. And again, next statement, the p value in class B. The p in class B, what is the p value? Now it is 10. So this is the output it will display. Suppose let's take that here also you want to use p and q instead of a and b, you can write it p and q. Now what will happen? There is, if you write p is equal to p and q is equal to q, then what is the issue we will face? We will face the issue, okay, we will face the issue called instance variable hiding problem. What is the solution for it? The solution for it is go for the this keyword. So I will write this dot p is equal to p, this dot q is equal to q. Okay, like this you can do. I hope you have understood about the inheritance, single level inheritance, how to create an object for the child class. Using the object of the child class, how can you access the members of the parent class and the members of the child class? And then even I have discussed the constructor concept with inheritance. I hope you have understood. In this video, what I will do, I will discuss or execute this entire program in the desktop and show the output properly for you, and all the errors whatever I have highlighted I will show them. Now let me have a class A. Inside the class A, I will define a variable called p and assign the value 100. This is an instance variable. Similarly, I will define a method called display and the return type is void. So void display. So this is what instance method. Now inside the method, I want to display the print value. So I need to use system.out.println and I need to write here the p value is, okay, and then I will write plus and then I will write p. Now let me close the display method, which is an instance method in the class A. Now let me close the class also. Now let me take another class B, and I want to inherit the properties of class A in the class B. So class B is acting as a child class. Okay, so here class B is the child class, or even I can say derived class, or it is a subclass. Whereas class A is the parent class, base class, superclass. Okay, you can use any one of the terminology. So now the class B will get all the properties of class A also. Okay, now let me define a variable called q and assign the value 200. Now it is an instance variable. Okay, now I am defining a method called show, and I will write system.out.println, and I will display the q value. The q value is, okay, let me close the method and let me close the class. Now if you can see the class B, okay, the class B has two variables p comma q and two methods display and show. Am I right? Because you are class B is inheriting the properties of class A. So all the members of the class A will come to the class B. Now what I want to do, I want to write about the driver class or the main class. As I have saved this program as first.java, I am writing it as class name as first. And now I need to write the main method. So public static void main, and then you can write string aux, and then open the main method. And now you need to create an object to access the instance variables and instance methods. Now you can create an object for the class B. What is the syntax for creating an object? Class name, object name is equal to new class name, and ends with a semicolon. Now if I write ob1 dot, because I want to access the instance methods. If it is an instance methods, you can access them using the object. If it is a static methods, you can access them with the help of a class name. So I will write ob1.show, and similarly I will write ob1.display. Then can you guess what will be the output? The show method will display the output as the q value is how much? 200, and this will display the p value is 100. The p value is 100. Now let me close the main method, let me close the class. I will save the program. To compile it, I will open the command prompt, and then you know that all our programs are there in the desktop Java program. So first I will go to the desktop, then Java programs, and I want to compile the first.java. So I will write java c first.java. If there are any errors, it will display it. There are no errors. Now let me run the program by giving a command called java first. See, I got the output which I have expected. The q value is 200, the p value is 100. This is absolutely fine. Now what I want to do is that I want to change the p value to some 300, and here I want to display the p value also. I will write system.out.println. Okay, the p value in is and I will write plus, and then I will write P. Okay, now see what will happen. You will get the Q value is 200, the P value in child class is 300, the P value in, let me write here, pay class, the P value in parent class is, okay, let me save the program and let me compile it because we have done the changes. So Java C first dot Java, there are no errors. Now let me run the program by giving a command called Java first. Now you can see as I expected, we got the output as the Q value is 200, the P value in child class is 300, the P value in parent class is 100. This is absolutely fine. Now what I want to do is that instead of initializing the instance variables like this, I want to use the constructors now. Okay, you know that if you want to initialize the object, you can use the constructor, and constructor is also a method which does not have any return type, and the name of the method should be same as the name of the class. As it is a class A, I am using the constructor called A. And how many variables are there? Only one variable is there, which is a variable P. Okay, so then what I will do, instead of a default constructor, I will take a parameterized constructor and then I will write P is equal to A. So this is what? This is a parameterized constructor, not a default constructor. Okay, and similarly, instead of writing or initializing the P and Q like this, I will take a constructor which is a parameterized. So I will write P and it needs to take two variables. So int A comma int B. Okay, or two variables or two parameters. Now you can write P is equal to A, Q is equal to B, and then you end the constructor. Now what you can do? You can pass the values such as 100 and 200, and then let me erase this one or remove this one. What will happen? We will guess it. Okay, so first do check it whether we will get any output or not before guessing the output. First we'll check any errors are possible or not. Let me save it and let me clear the screen, and then I want to compile the program. So I will write Java C first dot Java. Look at here, there is an error. Constructor A in class A cannot be applied to given types, and it is showing required int, found no arguments, reason, actual and formal arguments list in differ in length, one error it is showing. Is it clear? So why it is actually happening is that whenever you are invoking the constructor in the child class, because you are creating an object, during that time you are passing the value, so you are not you are, the Java compiler will invoke, okay, will invoke the parameterized constructor with having two parameters, okay, and both are integers because you are passing two integers. But what will happen is that this will indirectly invoke the default constructor, as there is no default constructor in the parent class. This issue is happening. Okay, so now let me take a default constructor, and to make you sure that it will first happen before calling the child class constructor, I will print something. The default constructor is very much required, or will simply write is required in parent class. Let me give a backspace here so that it will be visible for you. Let me end with semicolon. and let me close the default constructor. So this is what a default constructor or non-parameterized constructor, which is much required in the parent class when you are using the constructor concept. Okay, let me save this program now. There is no other changes are required. Let me open the command prompt and clear the screen, and again let me compile the program. See, there are no errors. Once you have the default constructor, the problem has been solved. So now Java first. See, as I told you earlier, you are indirectly calling the parameterized constructor in the child class. Once you create an object for the child class, the default not default constructor, as you are passing the parameters, so it will call or invoke the parameterized constructor in the child class, but that one indirectly invoke the default constructor in the parent class. So that's why first it is working. The default constructor is required in the parent class. The Q value is 200, the P value is 100, and the P value in parent class is 0 because you have not assigned any value. Then it will take the default value as 0 because see, you did not use the any parameterized constructor because you have not created any object for this class. Am I right? Because you directly created an object for the child class. So this parameterized constructor is not happened in the parent class. So that's why you did not assign any value to the variable P. So that's why you are getting the default value is 0. Now you can use the this keyword also. Let's take that here also you have written int p comma int q. Then you know that if you write p is equal to p and q is equal to q, then you know that we'll have instance variable hiding problem. To avoid that one, we can write this dot p is equal to p, this dot q is equal to q. Now let me save the program and compile it. Java C first dot Java. Oh, we forgot to give a semicolon. Okay. Now let me compile it again. There are no errors. Now let me give Java first. See, we got the same output. The default constructor is required in parent class. The Q value is 200. The P value in child class is 100. The P value in parent class is 0. I hope you have understood about the inheritance concept and also inheritance with constructor concept. If you still have any doubts related to this concept, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I will try to clear your doubts as early as possible. Thank you for watching the complete video. Have a nice day.